This is part 2 of a Dominions 5 Abridged commentary, where last time I started a campaign as some guys under the sea. We spammed about under the sea on a randomly generated map and stormed over some enemies. However, we encountered another player under the sea as well. So we're now fighting for dominance in a big open sea that consists of half the map, so quite important to win. We've actually started to attack their capital. In the past, I had tried to attack it, but been distracted by the enemy constantly attacking me. By taking a bit of the territory to the side, we've now cleared up the distractions and we can actually make the attack I was going for at the end of the last part. We're just going for a full rush strategy and ignoring many of the other easier places to take in the hopes of getting this other undersea player out of the way. Here we are spamming our way in with stuff, our usual army, which is fish type stuff, backed up with a heavy bodyguard of our master race, the Illithids or something they're called. They don't help very much in the fight because I still haven't worked out how to tell them to attack the enemy, but such discoveries are now on the way. We're starting to get deeper into this game and we'll be discovering some important things in the near future. Well, we have now captured the region containing the enemy capital, but because it's a fortified location, we actually don't have the full control over this area. We're now in a siege, and it says siege next to my characters, so I presume they're doing something. I think you just have to leave them there, and eventually the siege will be over and we'll see what happens after that. We do also now border another faction on the land. I thought that didn't matter because I thought the land factions can't interfere with our undersea dealings. We'll see soon some hints that that's not the case. Back up top, I'm spamming out troops in our capital region because we do have some more projects to attend to up here. We're going to have powerful armies with the vague goal of expanding out to the left and right to fill out the bits of the sea we didn't take earlier. And here is my powerful army going after some of the locals. They've got some shark cav, that's pretty good, and the good news is that by taking the area that has shark cav as its native troops, we can then recruit the shark cav into our own army. That's the sort of thing we like to see. Looks like their forces completely obliterate my initial wave of trash, and they come through then to fight with the superior bodyguard troops who are able to win the battle as the enemy rout. That was a bit close, but it proves that having something good behind the trash is probably useful, and that the trash isn't all that useful actually. A while later we're ready to do the same thing to the next bit of unoccupied sea, just spamming in with loads of stuff from various directions. All these captures will increase our background income and allow me to spam even more troops. There are other things you can do with the money aside from spamming troops, but I did not know that at all at this stage in the campaign. In this battle I discovered by accident you can look at your troops' stats. Somehow, I don't actually know how I was bringing that menu up. It looked like I was just clicking somewhere in the top right. Well, there's something going on there. We've captured a new territory. It was there at this stage I sort of started wondering why some of my territories were highlighted yellow and others weren't. There's something going on there. I didn't really know what it was, but I had this inkling it's something to do with a stat called Dominion, named after the game itself, so maybe it's important. And our temples are something to do with it. It's kind of like religion, it's how much religion you have in an area, and if you have the majority religion, it glows yellow and you get some buffs from that. I think. Anyway, I still don't really know what's going on. I ended up looking into this more later as it became a bit more important. We'll come back to it. Now I'm making a push towards the bottom right of our sea area. We already took an extra bit of the pink guys' territory, and now I want to push onto the land there to take some as well, so we can have another land fortified area to sit on and use potentially in the future. There's also a bit of land somewhere in the middle I'm going for here with a powerful army, just an island. There's me accidentally opening that troop stats menu again, no idea where that's coming from. Well, in this battle, we won easily because, you might note, I've managed to get my good troops to advance along with the trash ones now. We've made that discovery. You just had to select attack as their order in the army setup menu. I was accidentally ordering the commander to attack the whole time instead, but I think I've got around that by now. We understand what's going on a little bit. Here's another trash charge. This is the one in the bottom right of the map. And it doesn't go very well. We're getting spammed by arrows. We don't have any ranged units in our arsenal, so we just spam stuff at them, and if we get stuck and get shot at a lot, well, not too much we can do about that. I think you can order guys to kind of go around the edges maybe. Perhaps that's worth experimenting with. Now, the first clue that we're not safe under the sea is right here. The orange land faction controls part of the sea next to me. I nearly attacked it, but then I didn't. there's something going on there. There's some way for them to get down into the sea. Well, I suppose we'll see about that later because we're going to ignore them. I tried to take a bit of the land at the top left of the sea. I went in with this big spammed slave trooper army and it did incredibly poorly. It fought for a little bit, didn't really do any damage and then ran away. So I think we do need to have some of our master race troops with the armies to do something. Just spamming these virtually free armies of trash doesn't get you anywhere. Now we're back at the siege, where the siege process has completed in that we've now opened up their walls. It still just says we're besieging them and we can continue to sit here and siege, which is what I did for want of anything else to do. I was looking around saying, well, can we capture the castle now? Will they surrender because we've blown them up or something? After looking around, I did not find any options that helped me with that. We are getting very close to an important discovery though. There's that unit attack menu thing where we can give them orders. So we've worked that out at least. Here's a battle happening just to the right of the enemy castle, where I thought I'll send some troops to go capture another random, not particularly heavily defended area. Another wave of trash and good troops easily pushes the enemy away. And then in the next turn, we make an important discovery when looking at the siege again, trying to work out what to do. There's a thing at the bottom that mentions you can press space to change orders. I pressed space and discovered this extremely important menu. You can press space on any unit to get this kind of contextual menu of other things they can do other than stand around. You can use this to build things in your own territory, you can do all sorts of religious and special magical things in those menus, and when you're besieging an enemy castle, you can swap from being in siege mode to storm mode, which will allow you to actually take the castle. If I hadn't discovered that, we really would have just stood there forever. Maybe the castle can run out of supplies or something, so we might have gotten it eventually. Still, an important discovery, and it's going to pay dividends later on as I discover more features of the game locked behind that menu in other contexts. So here we go then, attacking the walls with our newfound ability. This is quite good because the enemy don't seem to have ranged units just like us. So while they've got loads of units on the walls, they're not shooting at us or anything, they're just standing there. This is actually a little bit better than a field battle where they might actually be attacking us. Instead, we've got everything fighting their fishes and some seahorses blocking the way into the fort. Well, all we can do now is wait, since we can't affect the battle. We have to hope our guys make it through. And the long story short is, they don't. The enemy's stuff is able to rout our main group of trash. This doesn't end the battle right away, because our good troops then advance. They are being harassed by that mermaid over there. I think that's the enemy's god character. The Krakens though, and some mages at the back, seem to be doing enough damage to keep us out. Looks like we're about to storm in here, but our quality soldiers also had a change of heart and routed soon enough. Unfortunate, but at least now we've seen what's in there. I don't know if there's a way to see what's in the castle before you attack it. It's not obvious if there is one at least. I happen to have loads of troops next door because I'd been taking out the other sea tiles. So now we can spam in and quickly reinforce our siege and just prepare to try again essentially. I think that's all we can do. In the meantime, they actually sally out as far as I can tell here. We've got this field battle against the guys who were just in the castle in the same province, so it must be a sally. Our newly arrived troops though easily spam their way forwards and get to grips with the enemy's fish and seahorses still going strong. However, taking out their god proves to be more difficult. You can tell by the numbers here. I think their god is constantly regenerating health, and our trash infantry can't do enough damage to counteract that. So this fight just goes on and on. The Medusa mermaid is gradually killing our trash, and while we're doing some damage, it's not enough. What I hoped is that in the end, our trash would all die and then our good soldiers might be able to do more damage. We did get close to that point, here we are some minutes later. However, our good soldiers routed along with the bad ones, apart from a few of them as we see. So that's not very good, is it? However, things aren't quite as bad as I thought somehow, because while virtually everything leaves the map, these couple of guys who stayed behind kept fighting. I thought, well, maybe they've just glitched out and they can't rout or something, so I'll quit the battle and not watch them obviously not be able to kill this god. But back out here, there's a message saying that we have killed their god, and they're angry at us for it. So I don't really know what happened. Maybe if I'd kept watching that replay, Somehow our 2 remaining guys did bring down the god through sheer stats at some point. I guess there could be a limit to how much the gods can regenerate. Elsewhere, we've got a wave of trash going up against a bunch of sea trolls. They also appear to be regenerating. This wave though is successful and we take another random bit of the sea. Just going to try and get all of it at this stage, of course. Time for another important discovery with our contextual spacebar menu. The building system. You can make walls, labs and temples in most of your areas. The walls are of particular interest. I was thinking maybe we could wall off the edge of the sea so we have a barrier against potential incursions into our delightfully damp realm. We also need to build those labs and temples. I didn't really know whether that was important, and we don't have the money to do it anyway, but it would be useful to have those things, and we'll learn more and more about that in the future. Here we are back at that castle with our newly arrived army making a new assault, and because the enemy did that sally earlier and lost a bunch of stuff, now we can freely enter the castle. There's nothing defending this broken wall piece. So our guys kind of get up onto the wall somehow and gradually kill the enemy infantry, resulting in us finally succeeding with our rush strategy. We've taken this castle, now it's going to be our nice defensive position. We can recruit a bunch of stuff from this area as well because it's a decent region. And of course our rivals in the area have been kicked out of the sea. Their faction isn't dead because they're still there in the bottom right, on land a little bit. But they're going to really struggle to come back from this situation. We essentially have them killed at this stage. And we've taken over the sea, which is half the map, so in terms of our territory, we're probably the biggest faction. That's something, I suppose. We'll have some money from all that. Getting out of the sea, though, will now be the next challenge. My plan was to take the peninsula area that's by the castle I just captured, controlled by this purple faction, for no better reason really than my armies were right next to it, so it might as well be our target. There's a look at the end turn sequence, which I haven't shown so far. It's a blind end turn sequence, so you don't see what's happening during the other players' turns. You just hear of the results once it's your turn again, and it's too late to do anything about it by this stage. There's a battle up here in the top left of the sea, which was unexpected. It seems that stuff can kind of just spawn and attack you. A kraken appeared and routed this little group of trash without fighting them, so we've lost control of a bit of the sea there. We'll send somebody to get it back. And here is our foray onto land with our good army, or at least the amphibious units in the good army. There was barely anything here, as we can see. So we storm forwards and get our foothold. From here, well, we've got plenty of work to do. This is going to be the beginning of a long land war for us. I've also tried to take this island back out in the middle of the map, and this is going to be more difficult for us because I'm doing the thing that I've mentioned before doesn't work, spamming absolute trash en masse. We actually have so much trash here that I was pretty confident we could bring them down, but no, you can see our stuff routes pretty much right away, and eventually everything routes. That stuff we're fighting is the enemy's trash, it's militia humans, the lowest human unit. We can't take them down. Our bad units really are quite bad. I haven't really looked through the numbers still, so I haven't got that appreciated, I suppose. But maybe we're learning it the hard way. Those guys can't really do anything. Moving on to the next turn. I've tried to take some more land down on that peninsula. We also saw a counterattack, and here's an important discovery. If you just click on the text saying that there was a battle, it just tells you what the result was. This is much faster than watching the replay, so I started using this extensively after this, so we'll see fewer replays. As the minor battles, I'm just going to click through them and see the result. Like this one, looks like it was fine. We didn't lose much or anything, and the enemy lost some stuff trying to counterattack. Meanwhile, I was able to move into the place to the south of the one I just captured and grab that as well, leaving us with these 2 land provinces. The next one over though is a choke point that we have to go through to advance, and it's fortified, so that's a shame. Here though we can start recruiting a land army. We can't get very much due to the lack of resources and recruitment points, but we could very slowly build up a human army which could be very useful in fighting on land, because while I have not checked, I imagine our amphibious underwater units are probably weaker on the land than they usually are, so it might be better to use actual land units. We're also going to throw some money at the situation. We can buy these defense armies in both of our newly captured land provinces to help us hold on to them. We could also spend money fortifying them, but I was more interested in taking that fort next to me and just having that as our choke point. Well, we'll see about that. In the next turn, looks like we took out that Kraken by just spamming a few things over there. More interestingly though, the orange faction has won a battle against us, so we need to check out what's going on with this. The battle apparently had no casualties on either side, so it seems our forces just routed when the orange guys attacked us. And they're here, slap bang in the middle of the sea. So there's the confirmation we needed. You absolutely can get attacked under the sea by land units. They're sending flagellants and knights at us. I imagine they're using some kind of magic or something to do that, because I think being in the sea does offer you some protection from land attacks. There are just situations that the enemy can come up with to get around that. They can cast a spell or a ritual or something that allows them to be amphibious with regular units. So our borders are actually quite exposed when you think about it like that, because we have a massive long border that covers half the map, and most of it's unguarded and surrounded by land units that are just standing there. Very dangerous. We're going to do the old trust the AI won't attack us too much strategy and not really do much about that, since we're going to focus all of our money on our offensive projects. There's us losing another battle as the enemy force moves into the next province, but I'm sweeping in behind them, so now they're just even deeper in our sea territories, and they're losing guys slowly but surely. We're going to be able to take them out with just a bit of spam, but just a lesson learned there in the fact that these guys might actually come down and cause a nuisance. Here's another lesson learned. We discover that if you have a mage selected, you can do a variety of things. You can cast spells from that menu, maybe that's how those guys got down under the sea using that. And perhaps more importantly, you can tell your guys to just research, and that's how you learn spells. So I mentioned in the first part there was this research menu that I thought I couldn't use. You just have to tell your guys to be researching, and then you start unlocking new spells. Whether they're important, which ones are important, whether I'm going to even use them in this campaign, these are all things I don't know, but this feels like a step forward in the game. We've discovered a new thing that we can use. I'm going to recruit a whole bunch of mages nearby and just have some research going on in the background. Maybe we'll learn a spell that will help us. Ideally, we want a spell that reverses enemy spells to let them into the sea so I can still be secure down here. Who knows? I'll probably look through it in more detail at some point, or maybe somebody's already told me in the comments. I make these recordings in advance, so that's why I haven't been reacting to any advice you might have given me in the first part, by the way, and it'll probably be a couple more parts before I've seen the advice when I'm actually playing the game. Well, it's part of the fun. We're seeing how well the game can teach me to play it without me actually doing what the game is telling me to learn it, that being look at their videos and read their guides. So in many ways I'm cheating by making it hard for the game to teach me how to play it, because I am facetious. I'm a disgusting casual gamer who doesn't want to read the PDF. Can we still win with that handicap? The no knowledge challenge run, let's just put it that way. I suppose we'll start finding out next time, where I'm going to engage in a gigantic and very back and forth land war to try and capture this purple area, and things are going to get increasingly difficult.